We're back with another entry on my favorite demos from NextFest of February 2024. This will be part 4, and I hope you enjoy today's offering of indie games. We are starting things off with Children of the Sun. This is a puzzle game where the solution to all of our puzzles is murder. We play as a woman who, after her family joined a mysterious cult, well, very bad things have happened. But they have also given her the power to control bullets with her mind. And she's going to take revenge on this cult, one member and one set piece at a time. The kind of puzzle design here is that in every level you are given one bullet to deal with all the enemies in said level. Once you fire the bullet, you can kind of adjust its trajectory while it's in the air, but you must hit a target to then be able to redirect it to another position. As the levels go on, you'll start dealing with enemies who have shields, being able to actually shoot your bullet again in the air if you hit the right weak points, and other modifiers and rules as well. Every level has a bonus challenge, which is not quite spelled out. You'll need to kind of figure out on your own, at least from the demo. And as things goes on, they'll get more challenging, more enemies will be introduced, etc, etc. The aesthetics and art design are really well done, and people have kind of compared it to Killer 7 or like Suda 51, and I can certainly see that, especially with the stylized, almost, I guess they're more like anime or comic book style cutscenes. In terms of difficulty, this is where Children of the Sun can feel a little bit odd. You see, this is a puzzle game. Don't let the sniping and the crosshairs and the zooming in fool you. So there is an approach that you need to take for each level. And I would have liked, or I would like to see like a little bit more variance, or maybe some more ways of shooting or getting more extreme shots off. There is a score system and you are graded at the end of a level, but it does feel a little bit linear. Like, while you do have some malleability as you kind of learn more about your powers, it's not a case where, I guess in a way, it doesn't kind of go to the the trick level that I would like to see, or I'd like to saw from a game like Roller Drome, the Tony Hawk games, etc, etc. And it can feel a little bit limited in that respect. I am very interested to see kind of where things will evolve in the main game, especially in terms of providing more enemy types or more enemy varieties. If you're a puzzle fan looking for a very violent puzzle to solve, then you should definitely check out the demo for this one. We now switch over to Hollowbody. This is a solo dev's take on the Silent Hill 2 formula, but with the added twist that we're in a kind of broken down cyberpunk world. We are trying to find a missing person. We have crash landed in what appears to be an abandoned town. Everyone is either gone or dead. But when we start receiving mysterious phone calls and things start coming after us, we must once again enter the world of survival horror in order to solve things. As you can tell from me running around in a very dilapidated apartment hallway, this game is certainly reminiscent of Silent Hill 2, complete with mostly fixed camera angles, unusual puzzles, and being able to beat up or shoot up any strange things that get in your way. The kind of cyberpunk future aspect comes in with being able to pick up radio messages, or aka logs, of the people that have lived here or no longer live here. And you will be solving very different and very challenging puzzles. The main puzzle of the demo did throw me for a little bit of a loop, and it's definitely going for more of the riddle clues, but you need to kind of read between the line kind of clues of the Silent Hill franchise. Combat is of the kind of janky, chaotic side of things, although melee did prove to be very effective. I don't know how many enemy types or how much combat will be a factor in the finished game, but from our time spent in this demo, there is certainly a lot of potential here for fans of survival horror looking for, again, that kind of older school, more puzzly side of the survival horror rather than the more combat side. So if you enjoy survival horror and Silent Hill, then this is definitely an easy recommendation for you. We now switch to something a whole lot lighter and brighter, and that is Lightyear Frontier. This is a kind of open world, low stakes farming game. We have left Earth in order to find a new home out in the stars, and we have crash landed on a mysterious planet, and we are going to do what we always do in these situations. Build lots of structures, farm, and have a pretty relaxing time along the way. The game can be played with multiplayer as well, but if you're hoping for mech-on-mech combat, violence, shooting, stabbing, and whatnot, this is not going to be the game for you. Despite having lots of implements and attachments for your kind of mech suit, you're going to be using all of them for farming, cultivating crops, feeding the various wildlife, and trying to clean up the mysterious planet. I like the visual design, the aesthetics of this one. Everything is very bright and colorful. From what we played in terms of the gameplay, the general loop is going to be you're going to grow various crops, which you can then turn into oil or sell them, which will allow you to buy more upgrades, get better tools, etc. But you're also trying to clean up and kind of return each biome to its natural state. So there is mystery in terms of what happened to this planet a long time ago, and you'll do things one step at a time. If you're hoping again for like a hardcore survival farmer, that kind of game, Lightyear Frontier is not going to be it. But this was like a very low stakes and very charming game that can be played with a group of people who are looking for, again, that kind of farming side without any kind of like hardcore struggles or difficulty. So if you love farming and looking for a game that has a sci-fi twist to it, then you should check this one out. We now switch over to Awita Journey of Hope, and I hope I didn't butcher that name too badly. This is a Metroidvania, where we play as a woman who is trying to figure out what has caused an epidemic in her village. And to do that, we're going to have to slash, jump, double jump, and air dash our way to solving this mystery. The combat and general flow of this one in a way reminds me of Momodora, especially with kind of the quality of the animations and swinging of your weapon. From what we played of the demo, you will get access to different upgrades and different movement tech. You'll be able to equip different charms that kind of give you like a form of a build for your character. In terms of difficulty, this one's aiming for being both very platform and combat centric. You have a kind of block slash parry that you can use on melee attacks to do increased damage, and you will probably need to learn it if you want to stand a chance against some of the more annoying enemies. Speaking of annoying enemies, the kind of boss of the demo was on the janky side, and I can't tell that was by design or a bug in the fight. But this one does show some promise if you're looking for another kind of Momodora-like Metroidvania. Again, this is still going to be on the combat side, so if you're not into like a heavy combat-centric 2D game like this, then I don't think this one's going to change your mind, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where else Awita will be going. Speaking of going somewhere strange, we now switch over to Homeland. While the story page describes it as a Metroidvania, I think this is more of a Castlevania than that. We don't really have too much as to what is happening. Apparently, the undead have risen, things are getting odd in the village, and it's up to us with cane and gun to splatterhouse our way across the land in order to solve this mystery. This one is definitely going for like an unusual design. The aesthetics are very haunting, especially some of the backgrounds that you can see in the footage. In terms of the gameplay, this is again just straight up action. You'll be able to do your lovely Castlevania backdash to avoid attacks. You have your cane, which is surprisingly effective against the myriad of undead, as well as a gun that you'll need to recharge by finding ammo. Like I said, the Splatterhouse comparison is kind of apt, as you'll never know kind of what is going to happen in the next scene. And difficulty-wise, this felt like it was going to be on the moderate side. I don't know where it's going to go in the finished game. With that said, this is certainly, at least from the demo, does not appear to be a Metroidvania-style game. I don't know if there are going to be any upgrades, new movement tech, attack tech, anything like that in the main game. But this one could be something of interest if you're looking for an action game that is, well, very violent and very weird in terms of what is going on. And speaking about very weird, our next game is Kinnikuneko Super Muscle Cat, and I'm pretty sure I just butchered that entire pronunciation. When the world has been taken over by aliens, it is up to that in order to save the day. We play as, well, a very muscular cat with apparently magic underwear that allows him to turn into a buff fighter who will defend the Earth from evil. Again, I am not making this up, you are watching the footage of this. But this game is definitely going for the WTF factor, as just like in our last game, you're never really going to know what strange thing you're going to see next. Now, for Super Muscle Cat, this is an action platformer, where you'll explore each level, trying to raise your level up, beat up enemies, and avoid falling into a lot of pits. The game will kind of alternate between being in buff form, where you can punch and beat up all the bad guys who get in your way, and when you lose your underwear, there's a sentence I didn't think I would have to say here on video, you'll be able to transform back into cat form, which will allow you to jump on narrow platforms, run up walls, and just be a lot faster. Unfortunately, you won't be able to punch and kick enemies in cat form. The platforming here felt a little bit janky in spots, especially trying to make some of the long distance jumps. But there is certainly something here for someone looking for a very odd, just like in our last game, action game, where instead of over-the-top violence and the undead, we have cats, muscles, and underpants to find. So if that interests you in your action game, then you should give this one a check. We keep switching between like violent and cute, it seems, for our showcase, and our next game is back on the violent side with Death of a Wish. This is from the same developer as Luca Born of a Dream. A very challenging action RPG with, as you can tell, a very striking art style and aesthetic. When we have decided to take revenge on the cult that is trying to bring about a new order in the world, we're going to have to do this one fight and a whole lot of strange imagery at a time. The combat here is designed to be very decisive. You do not have a lot of means of recovering health at the start. Instead, you're going to use your kind of dash in order to dash into enemies and parry them. As you do light and heavy attacks, you can break their guard. Once their guard is broken, you can then initiate critical damage on them. This is very important as a way to quickly deal with minor enemies and to just massively punish the boss fights. You have a very high health bars by default. Instead of recovering health, you have a number of retries, so that if you end an encounter and you've just taken too much damage, you can retry it back at where your resources were at the start. And kind of the game will checkpoint in a way after the fight is over. And of course, there are save points that are the hard progress that you'll unlock. Combat in this one can be a little bit weird. The visual design, as striking as it can be, does make it a little bit hard sometimes to read animation tells. And again, this is a game, especially if you're playing on the higher difficulty or playing on hard mode, where one good hit, especially from a boss, can just tear through your health. The story and kind of overall look of this game, again, are very original, and this one is definitely not going to be for someone who's looking for a very happy-go-lucky kind of game like our last one. Now, I didn't get a chance to see the demo all the way through to the end, So there are, I believe, additional elements, including dealing with corruption you'll have to deal with, and how you slot different abilities into your character and level up. But if you're looking for a very solid and stylized action RPG, then you should definitely give this demo a check. We now go to Technocide. This is a shoot-'em-up meets roguelike. In this one, when an evil AI has taken over and is producing massive amounts of drones and evil robots trying to take over the remaining human settlements, it is up to us with Mothership and Fighter Ship in order to save the day. The main kind of twist of Technocide is that this is not a bullet hell style game. You can be shot at and be hit, and there's no penalty for you. Your job is to keep any enemy ships from reaching the bottom of the screen and attacking your mothership. Every time a ship makes it down there, you lose a health point, run out of health, and your run is over. In between shmup levels, you'll decide your next location based on what rewards it will give you, including being able to find new items, as well as new weapons that you can equip. When enemies are killed, they drop these kind of blue crystals, which as they fill up, they basically give you access to your weapon's super move, which is very important as a lot of these stronger enemies can just shrug off your normal bullets, unless you do a lot of them. The game also features 2-player co-op as well, and this one is looking to be very charming. I don't know how far it's going to go with both the roguelike or the shmup aspects in the finished game, but there's definitely something here for someone who likes the idea of a shoot-'em-up, shmup, but is not quite interested in the bullet hell, super pixel precise style of gameplay. And for our last game of today's video, we turn to Emberbane. This is, I guess, essentially Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Metroidvania. In order to save the day, we must harness the power of the elements to run, jump, air dash, double jump, and more through a variety of lands. Right off the bat, I love the art style and the detail of the pixel design or pixel art and animations. It reminds me a little bit of kind of like the rotoscoping effect of what we saw from a game like Prince of Persia. In terms of our gameplay, this is again just pure straight up Metroidvania. You'll explore each area trying to get from point A to point B, find all the necessary upgrades, additional tech that you need, go back to areas to open them up, and keep on going. The combat itself is built around you using different elemental effects. In the demo, we only had a chance to see fire, but the store page does promote you will get access to the other 3 elements, complete with their own specific attacks and styles. Now, I really enjoyed the look of this one, as I said, but my main concern is with kind of the general feel of the platforming and combat. One thing that is very annoying is that anytime you hit an enemy in melee, you push them away. So it's a case where you hit the enemy and then you just knock them right out of your means of keeping the combo going. And I did notice some kind of weird delays in terms of some of the additional tech, such as doing the air dash. If the game can kind of get those issues in check and kind of keep the smoothness of the combat and general movement with the smoothness of the animations, this could be a very fantastic Metroidvania to play when it is released. I would give this demo a check if you're looking for a very movement-centric and combat-focused Metroidvania. And like I said, if these issues can be smoothed out, this definitely has some potential to be a winning Metroidvania when it is released. But with that, we are done with today's part. There's still plenty more indie games to check out in the later episodes. And again, if you let me your game for a future video and stream, it does not have to be a part of NextFest. Please get in touch. And with that, I'm going to let everyone get some rest and tune in next time for our next part. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to do the YouTubing stuff people tell you to do. If you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my books wherever they are sold. Visit our Discord and Patreon and come back 4, daily discussions on game design here, and on game wisdom, where you examine the art and science of games.